Now we're going to start to discuss some troubleshooting issues that may arise in the clinic. And the hope is that your assistant prepared the simulations for you. You just walked in with the patient and you look on the first simulation. Again, original scan data on the left, non-extraction arch form to maintain on the right. And on this case, you can see I've adjusted this so that it didn't find the center axis of the tooth on this 1-1. This occasionally will occur, and there's a variety of reasons that the software has a hard time finding the center axis of the tooth. Sometimes that's because of a misshapen tooth, the teeth that weren't clean before, so it finds some other objects in that scan, or because, the incisal edge has a lot of wear or the tooth is having some issues. So regardless, it's an easy fix. So I can see this one's got an issue. I click down here, which says tooth orientation, which is a tool that I will use to help fix problems that I foresee. So in this tool, I have a rotation, angulation, and inclination tools to help the software indicate where the tooth currently exists in the mouth. So you can see here, I always recommend starting with the rotation. So I'm going to click on this tooth and you can see the rotation here is incorrect. So I always recommend looking at it from all sides. So I'm using my right clicker to rotate through, but you want it to be up on the closer to the incisal edge. And you want to make sure that the rotation is properly indicated here, or properly shown with this blue line versus how the tooth is actually rotated. So I always say start with rotation. Any tooth you see a problem with, or if you want to quickly glance through and adjust any of them that need to be done, on this case, we'll just work on this first front tooth. After the rotation's been completed, I then recommend going on to the angulation stage. So on the angulation stage, this gray box down here is the occlusal plane. So you're typically going to want that in the center of the tooth. I like to look on the left-hand side here and try to find the highest point of this gingival crown edge. And that's a pretty good trick to be able to find where the center axis is from an angulation standpoint. You can also look at trying to make it parallel to a side of the tooth, and there's many different methods that you might use to try to find that center axis of that tooth. If you need to change the torque, inclination is how you do that. I warn you, be a little bit careful with this because it runs opposite from what you think. So again, you're telling the software at the start of the case, this is the actual center axis of this tooth. So if I move this inclination, it's going to always move the final position in the simulation the opposite direction. So I always say try to get it done without having to change the inclination. If you do need to change the torque, this is how you do it. Once I'm happy with what I've done here, I can click this check mark. It's going to say done. And now all the simulations are going to be read with that positioning in place. If I'm not happy, again, I can always go back in, make more adjustments, and get this just how I want it to be. So I can see on this one, I didn't do a great job of moving that to where it needs to be, but I can place it where I want it to be, hit check until I get it just right, and you'll get these tools down pretty darn fast. And again, with the patient in the chair, those are very quick movements to be able to make the adjustment and be able to show the patient, hey, the software didn't get the center axis right. Let me get it right, and let me show you this case from here. Some of the other issues that may arise is on the placement of the arch form. So again, the instructions on this is that the arch form is supposed to be placed with the gray line down the center and symmetry between the right side and the left side. You also can change around the shape anytime. And one of the beautiful parts about this is if I click back and forth between the simulation and this, I can make changes very quickly and it's going to recalculate immediately. But say this was placed incorrectly here. When I look at the simulation, obviously this is a pretty big movement here. You'll see, if I look at this, the shift of those arch forms, because again, the teeth are going to be, straightened to that arch form. So if one arch is going to be straight in one direction, it's going to cause this issue that we're seeing here. So if you see something like this come up, a good thing to check is to go back and look at that placement of the arch wire, make the correction to place it in the right place. Then when I click back to the simulation, it should solve itself. Just like that, we're in good shape. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope this tutorial has been helpful, and please be aware of more tutorials come out to help you use this amazing tool.